Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we're going to be talking about balancing our heart chakra during Venus in retrograde. And this is a really important thing that I have learned is really more important than most people realize during this time frame. So we're going to talk all about Venus in retrograde and how that's going to affect our heart chakra. That's right. Venus is our planet of love and continues to go into retrograde about every 18 months. So about every year and a half or so, we have Venus go into retrograde. And depending on what sign Venus is in, sometimes we may really feel like we need to balance more than others. And it just really depends on like our past, our history, what we've gone through in our life. But I will tell you that our heart chakra really rules our love, our generosity, our trust, our openness, our self-love, and also our romantic love as well. And with Venus in retrograde, chances are issues in one or more of these areas are going to just kind of pop up. And that's kind of what retrograde is things pop up so we can look at them differently, look at them in a different way than we have in the past, especially with the energy of Venus, with the energy that Venus is in retrograde in, and that kind of changes because it's one of those, something that would pop up in Venus in retrograde in the sign of Leo is going to be different than Venus in retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius. It's just going to be feeling a little bit differently. It's going to bring up different things. So every time Venus goes into retrograde, it's going to feel different, and what you feel during that time frame is going to feel different, and what pops up as an issue during that time frame has really been kind of just like laying low in your life, and you might go, I've let go of that a million years ago, and then it keeps coming up in Venus in retrograde, and you're like, okay, maybe I didn't let it go. Yeah, maybe you didn't let it completely go, and now it's time to look at it in a different way so we can heal it, look at it, and kind of keep going forward. But issues, I will say, is that a lot of people have is feeling compassion. Like, I want to feel compassion all the time, but when Venus is in retrograde, it's kind of like you may have issues of feeling super over compassionate, kind of like over giving, overdoing with people. And that's a good way to kind of like, when did I not feel like I didn't get enough compassion? When did I feel like I needed to give more? Because usually we give things that we feel like we didn't get. One of them is like trust. When did we trust somebody else with our heart? You know, like, oh my gosh, he's the cutest person or she's the cutest girl, and we trusted them and they crushed that trust. They cheated on us, or they talked bad about us, or whatever it is, and it's like now those issues are coming up again, and it's one of those, it's coming up again so we can heal it. It's not coming up again so you have to relive all of it. It's coming up again so you can heal it and release it and let it go. Also, I would say like openness. How open we are can be really interesting, especially in Venus in retrograde. And a lot of times, like, people almost feel like they have to like close down and clamshell it up and kind of like, no, we've got to keep all of this like inside and not be open at all. But it really is that ripping open of kind of like, yes, we have to open our heart. We have to open up that connection, that heart connection with other people. And if we don't have that openness, or if we've opened it up in the past and someone's kind of like stomped on our heart, it can be a little bit harder to kind of like open that up and allow that to come through. I will tell you, usually self-love is one that kind of really comes up for a lot of people, and it kind of kicks us in the head because we don't really think about it. A lot of times we're like, oh, of course I love myself, and oh, of course I love, no. Actually, a lot of times we are the meanest person to ourselves that we could possibly imagine. We are so mean to ourselves and so vicious about how we talk about ourselves. And a lot of times people are like, well, my thoughts in my head run like the way my parents did, or my mom did, or my dad did when I was growing up, or whoever raised you. It's kind of like, yeah, those are the things that keep coming forward. They might have said it maybe 100 times, but how many times have you told yourself the same thing? 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 100,000 times? Yeah. It's one of those, we keep bringing it up because it's one of those, that's what they taught us, and we just keep throwing it at ourselves in some very different ways. And it's really to kind of know that self-love is okay, but it's one of those, we really expect other people to teaches self-love, and it's one of those we don't normally do that. And also a lot of times we treat ourselves the way we thought the people that were supposed to love us were supposed to treat us, and we don't do it well. Because our heart chakra is in the middle of our energy system, it's kind of right in the middle, and where it is, it kind of balances our upper chakras and our lower chakras. And this is kind of like the mediator, kind of like the middle between the upper chakras and the lower chakras. And it can really bring up issues with security, like our basic needs and requirements that we have in our life. This can also bring in like our higher chakras with this idea of like self-love and connecting to creator energy or spirit energy, or even our angels and guides. You'll see people kind of really amping that up right now. And since Venus is in retrograde, you may have also been feeling like this pull between the two areas of your life of kind of like, I want to ground and be secure and that sort of thing, but also feel like I can't do that and be connected to creator energy, or I feel like I've got this going on, or I've got to create this, but I can't connect here. So it's one of those, we kind of feel like they're separated, but they're actually not. They're connected right there in the heart chakra. So that's the important one for us to really work on. Venus in retrograde may have you feeling this pull between the two, but it's one of those, it's kind of like pulling them together in a great way, and kind of like your own way of pulling them together. Besides being like the heart chakra being like the keeper of our energy, and like bringing this into a great connection between our creator energy and like our connection to Mother Earth, it's one of those, it can bring us a lot of sense of balance or sense of harmony and peace when we connect these in our own dynamic way, and bring a lot of balance to our lives that we've maybe been craving for quite a while. When our heart chakra is out of balance, we may feel like we are being overcritical of ourselves. We maybe feel like we're overcritical, or others are being overcritical of us. It can also bring in like our inability to kind of really connect to abundance and support from others. Even if they're offering it, we feel like they're not in some way, or like they're kind of two-faced. They're offering it, but they're not offering it. And so that's kind of that energy with this. I will tell you, being very emotional during this time frame is completely normal. I know it's like things that we've been withholding from ourselves is kind of like the tears that we should have cried, the things that we should have said, the things that we should have done, may feel like we've had them closed off, and then Venus goes into retrograde and we're like, here it comes all out. All of those tears start flowing, all of the energy starts to go, and you're just like, wait a minute. And kind of feeling this emotional need to like really push away people, especially if you don't feel secure around them, that we're going to be like pushing that out of the way. I will tell you, one of the ones that I think is really kind of one of those like we don't really understand a lot, fears of like literally fears of whatever it is that you're afraid of. Anxiety can amp up during this time frame, and it's because it's like we're ready to turn that off. A lot of times something happens to us when we're much younger, and that fear level never gets turned back down. It's like we stay on that like fight or flight constantly, and we never really bring down those cortisol levels and kind of like bring into balance of what's going on around us. So it's kind of like, yeah, we've got to like look at it so we can release it and let it go, and really bring those fears down, that anxiety down, and kind of almost like holding on to those fears. I feel like one of them is usually kind of like the fear of being alone or not feeling loved by other people. One of the other ones is really this self hatred or self like things that we've heard from other people, like you're not good enough, you're not special enough, you're not the one I want to be with, you're not the one, whatever it is. And those can bring up fears of kind of like, I wasn't enough for that person. I thought I was. I thought they were the right person for me, and they're not telling me that I'm not the one, which can also bring up a lot of fear of rejection, which is also one of those Venus in retrograde kind of energies that we can deal with. I will tell you kind of my ways to kind of work through some of this is really what energy or what feelings are bringing up your attention. What is that energy with you? And sometimes it can be easy to go along with others, even if we don't really want to, kind of like that peer pressure. But a lot of times, kind of the best way to deal with this is kind of being pulled away. So if you're the type that has like a group of people that have been with your friends or been with you for a long period of time, you may feel yourself kind of like needing to pull back from them to kind of find out who you are, what you are, and where you want to go in your life. So this can be a really a time where you feel like I've got to step back and be alone. One of the other ones is kind of like setting like the blame. A lot of times like people start protecting their heart chakra way more than they should during their life with what's gone on, and they blame everybody else. It's one of those, it's important that you take your fair share of the responsibility of what's going on, your fair share of like reflecting and kind of like whose part or who's a little bit more to blame in this than others. This is a great way to kind of really think about that energy and allows you to kind of bring your power back, because a lot of times it's like, you did this to me, you did this, you cheated on me or whatever else, and it doesn't mean that their cheating was your fault. It's one of those, there were things that led up to that. The cheating was all on them, but the things that led up to it, usually that person was searching for that connection with someone else because they weren't getting it from you. They went to go find it somewhere else. That's the part that's part yours and part theirs. The cheating is all on them. So it's one of those, it doesn't mean that you need to take that one on. The next one is kind of looking in the mirror. Kind of what are the soul lessons that you've learned since Venus was in retrograde last time? Kind of thinking about like the heart issues that have come up. What are some of the things that you've really kind of had come up on your mind that you really kind of like, yeah, I really want to change some things, or I really want to look at things differently? Because I will tell you, every soul is kind of really keeping track of loving yourself, caring for others. And if you love yourself, then you can truly love other people. If you don't love you, it's one of those, you really can't love someone else. You may feel like you're going through the motions of it, or it's not really that in-depth, I just love you. It's one of those, I love you if this, I love you if you do that, instead of just being this overall, I love you for whoever you are. One of the ones I will tell you is kind of like acceptance and forgiveness. And they can kind of bring in acceptance for a situation or what's gone on, and really reduce that space into kind of like, where do I require forgiveness? Who do I require forgiving for all of this? Forgiveness is a powerful healing tool, and I will tell you, most people do it incorrectly. I was emailing someone the other day, and I attached an email that they didn't really need to get. It was one of those like, you did something wrong, I need to hear back from you. And it was kind of an interesting one. The person that kind of at first they were like, yeah, I didn't do this, and instead of like standing in that energy of like, I didn't deserve this email, it's one of those, they came back with like, when I said, oh, I apologize, I shouldn't have sent it to you, their energy was like, oh, no, I'm not mad, I'm not angry, I'm not upset. And it's like, no, now you're trying to pacify me. The anger part, so that almost that passive aggressive energy, like I was telling you what I thought you needed to hear, and then when I gave it to you, you're kind of like, this doesn't belong to me. And instead of allowing me to apologize or forgive that energy, it's one of those, they're like, oh, it's okay, it's not a big deal. And it's like, you should hold other people accountable. It was my fault, I shouldn't have sent it to her, I should have looked one more time to make sure that she was not on the email list to get that. And so I made a boo-boo, I fixed that boo-boo, and when I apologized, she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm saying it wasn't this. And it's one of those, hold up your own energy, hold up that acceptance for where you belong in this. And if someone is asking for forgiveness, yes, you can easily forgive them, but it's one of those, don't hold on to the forgiveness part or step down in that energy. You deserved an apology, you got the apologies, and accept it and move forward. And I will tell you, that's kind of probably the best way to deal with a lot of this energy, is really accepting your part of it. And I will tell you, responding with compassion. And I will tell you, the most important person you respond with compassion with is yourself. Because if you don't hold yourself accountable for loving you, accepting you for who you are, this can be a powerful one where you kind of get into that energy of like, I was letting this come forward, but it's one of those, as you see it from different viewpoints and kind of like different perspectives from the same issue, once you do, it changes everything else. It's like, wow, I didn't see it from this side. I didn't see this part. One of the stones that I will tell you that's kind of the best ones to kind of carry during this time frame is a rose quartz. So I don't care if you carry it on your necklace or your chain, carry it as a worry stone in your pocket, or just having them around your space can be a very, very powerful thing to do with balancing our heart chakra during Venus in retrograde. And I will tell you, I will have some other energies coming up. I will have a heart chakra meditation and ritual that I'm going to be partaking in and hopefully sharing with my celestial meditation people. That is a really good one that can bring in a lot of balance and a lot of harmony as well. But I guarantee you this is going to be an amazing energy for you. So let's do a couple of quick angel cards and let's get us some better insight into all things balancing our heart chakra with Venus in retrograde. And so this is the card that is like coming forward. This is the card. Our guardian angel is all about like really holding us accountable in a very positive, light energy way, and allowing our guardian angel to really speak to us during this time frame can bring in that amazing energy, kind of can bring in that amazing insight into what's going on in and around you, and really kind of help you work through what do you really need to work through. What is it that you really want to work through? This one is kind of popping forward, and this one is truth and integrity. Our heart chakra is all about our truth and speaking our truth with integrity. And a lot of times we think, oh, I lied about it last time. And it's like, no, usually what happens is your insight has changed. You've learned something different and that's changed everything else around you. So that can really bring in some amazing insights to you. I thank you so much for joining me today. And I know that we'll be talking again soon.